previous colleague. We go to the same school, we're in the same lab, but her and I have had some different journeys, and I'm going to take you guys along my journey into science. Now, first of all, I'm going to talk about my upbringing, guys. Now, I come from a place called Mafikeng, which is in the northwest, okay? And when I was young, I came from a family that had a lot of teachers. My grandfather, actually both of my grandfathers were principals. And I have a lot of aunts and a lot of uncles who are teachers as well. So when we were young and when we were at home, it was always emphasized to us that, guys, please go to school. Please get an education. An education is very important because it unlocks doors for all of us. Okay, and one thing that my mom liked to say to me is that, my son, if you don't get educated, the problem of life is only going to lie on you and no one else, because you are responsible for your own life. And so far I've seen that too. You know, you guys are in grade 9 and grade 10, right? So as you guys go along in school, you'll see the responsibility of school will increase, and you'll see just how life goes. Yeah, I hope your lives are going well right now. But when I was younger, my first insight into science came from watching a lot of animal shows. Okay, on TV there used to be some animal shows, and I always asked myself, okay, why is it that animals behave this way? You know, why is it that they do this thing? Why is it that they move this way? Why do they behave in these certain groups? And I didn't know it at the time, but it was my first introduction into science. Okay, and as I began to start loving science, I realized that there are very few things there are very many things that you can be curious about. Okay, now that started becoming a lot more apparent when I got to school. My parents put a lot of resources into us as students and into us as their kids. And when they put a lot of resources into us, I started to see the benefits of that when I got to high school. When I was in grade 9, just like you, I had a teacher who was teaching us natural life sciences. The name of the teacher was Ms. and she was so passionate about life sciences, so much so that during some breaks, she'd actually teach us extra stuff that were not in the curriculum. And I saw that it brought up my love for science even more. And I realized then and there that I want to make a difference in life through science. Then I got into grade 11. I did relatively well in grade 11. I applied for university when I got to grade 12. But when I applied for university, I realized that I did not have the requisite marks that I needed in order to do the courses that I wanted, because I wanted to apply for engineering and I wanted to apply for medicine. And I remember that one university didn't just say no to me. They actually told me that I should apply for agricultural sciences. And at first I felt bad about that, but then I thought to myself, you know what, I actually need to pick up my socks and I need to study really, really hard. And I studied over and over again, and eventually I did well enough when I was in matric such that I got to do a medical degree. And so when I got into university, the first place that I went to was in the University of Witwatersrand, Wits University, which is just here over the bridge. Okay, so my experience there was okay. The one thing that I didn't realize was that work in university is a lot. You know, you think work in high school is a lot, but you realize that every single year, work increases. I'm sure for grade 9s, the work in grade 9 is a lot more than it was in grade 8. And for grade 8s, the work is a lot more than it was in grade 7. But when you get to university, you realize just how much the step up is. So the first year went well for me. You know, I passed everything, but then I started having problems at home, and I didn't realize that these problems were actually affecting me. And instead of seeking help, I kept everything to myself. What ended up happening is that I ended up failing. You know, and I learned a very big lesson from that in terms of asking for support and speaking out when you have problems. But anyway, long story short, through support, I decided to go back to school and pursue another degree. Okay, and I did a BSc. I was studying chemistry. I was studying life sciences. When you get to university, they stop calling it life sciences. They call it biology. Okay, so I studied chemistry, I studied physics, I studied maths, I studied biology. And then and there, I knew I was right at home. So I worked hard, I tried to push as much as I can, and eventually I graduated. But through being at university, I learned that the most important thing that you need to do is to just work over and over and over again. And eventually I graduated. This is me, that's my mom over there. And I was so happy because when I graduated, because I could see that the hard work pays off. You know, when you stand in front of that stage and they call your name out, and you can see people being really happy that you've worked hard, and you can see your family more than anything be really happy that you worked hard. It gives an emotion that I can't describe, guys. It's the best feeling in the world. I wish that I could graduate tomorrow and the next day and the day after. That's just how amazing it was. But I thought to myself that I need to go back to school and I need to continue with my studies. So I did an honors degree. Okay, honors comes after your undergraduate degree. And I went to the Eastern Cape to a university called Rhodes University. Okay, and when I was in Rhodes University, I got supervised by a professor by the name of Professor Tebelo Nyoko. I didn't know who she was at the time, but she was world famous. At the time when I was there, she got 3 awards she got one from France, she got one from Russia, and she got another one from Belgium. And the most important thing that I learned from her is that when you want to do work that is groundbreaking, because at my time, I couldn't understand how it is that people can sit down and can do all these amazing things, you know. But when I sat down and I saw how she worked, the one thing that I realized is that you look at the problems that you have all around us. You know, you guys, you look at the problems that you have back at school, or you look at the problems in your society, you take your time with the problems and you try to develop solutions. It starts small. And on top of that, the most important thing is to be consistent. Being consistent doesn't mean that you need to work at 100% every single day. But when the teacher gives you homework, you do your homework. You know, when you have work to do, you do your work. Sometimes you might not be able to do everything, but you need to work every single day. Because if you work every single day, you have a lot more opportunities to solve problems that you have. Okay, and over here is my class. There I am at the back there. I think out of all of these people, only 3 of them have their masters. Everyone else here is a doctor right now. And there's even one person here who is a professor. Okay, this is Professor Tebelo Nyoko over here. And I really enjoyed my journey over there. And I thought to myself that I want to continue forwards. When I was at Rhodes University, we were doing cancer research. But while I loved the cancer research, I thought to myself that I would love to do something that will impact what is going on around us right now. And that's what led me to come here to the University of Wits in order to do my master's in renewable energy. Okay, now my master's, Avuya's master's focuses more on using hydrogen. My master's focuses more on taking advantage of the sun. Okay, you guys have seen that South Africa uses a lot of solar panels now because of load shedding, right? Many houses have solar panels. Now, the problem with solar panels is that they're expensive. I think there was one time at home when my parents wanted to get a solar panel quotation. Then the quotation came in and it was 250,000 rand in order to run the whole house. You know, and I thought to myself, my parents thought there's no way we're going to do this. We will find whatever it is we can, these lights that you turn on at night. It means we must use candles, it's fine. You know, but then with this work that I'm doing now, it tries to solve the problem by cutting the cost of solar panels down. Okay guys, this is over here. These are the solar cells that I'm making. So these little things over here are the material that I put onto this little glass here. So this film over here will take up the sun energy and it will convert it into electricity and it will power homes. Now, as is with any other research, there are advantages and there are disadvantages to it. Okay guys, the advantage of this thing is that it's cheap. It's much, much cheaper than solar panels, the current solar panels that we have, meaning that it will be affordable to a lot more homes. Because I don't know about you guys, but back home in Mafike, what we have is that solar panels are only in the suburbs. When you go to the townships, when you go to the Kasi, you don't see any solar panels because they're very expensive. And hopefully, if this works out, it's going to make solar panels a lot more affordable. The only disadvantage, or the biggest disadvantage, is that when you put this in normal air, it breaks down. So part of my research is to find out, okay, what can I do in order to increase this thing and make it more stable? And all the work that I have done before, from high school to university, working hard, working consistently, asking myself the relevant questions, finding out what it is that can work, you know, trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that, because I failed a lot of times, but also it takes me to a quotation by Thomas Edison. Do any of you guys know who Thomas Edison was?
Yes.
You know, brilliant. Thomas Edison, for those that don't know, is the first person to invent the light bulb. What he said was that, when he tried to invent the light bulb, what he said was that, I have not failed 10,000 times. I have only found 10,000 ways that it will not work. And my hope for you guys is that whenever you encounter failure in life, don't put yourselves down. Okay? Try again and try again, because you can get up, you can pick yourselves up, you can dust yourselves off, and eventually you can be like all the successful people that you know. And last but not least, I want to leave you, before that, I want to leave you guys with some careers that you can do. Now, what I am is a researcher, okay guys? A researcher is a person that will develop technologies, will look at problems, and they'll try to develop technologies in order to solve the problems that we have, wherever we are. Otherwise, you can be engineers, even in the solar energy sector. You guys know the different power stations that we have. You guys know that we have a solar farm in the Northern Cape. Engineers are the people that build the solar farms that we have, okay? Us as chemists, we are the ones that develop the technologies that the engineers end up implementing. On top of that, you can be an analyst. Analysts are people that will look at the various things that are happening, and they'll break it down to say, okay, we see these patterns, we see that pattern, we think to ourselves, maybe you guys could go in a different direction, and then you'll be more effective. Apart from that, we can be business people. There are people out there who sell solar panels. There are people out there who have their own shops. They learn the knowledge. Some people learn the knowledge through Google because they have a good sense of business, and then they'll be able to do the solar panels, and they'll be able to build the solar panels. But last but not least, what I want to leave you guys with is a quotation by Steve Jobs. He says that the only way to do great work is to love what you do. So I really hope that you guys end up loving science, be passionate about the science, throw yourselves into science. You know, I watch channels on YouTube that go deep into science. Some of them go on a shallow level into science. There's a channel called Sci-bono that speaks all things about science. And you learn a lot and you think, this is so interesting. I could actually learn more about this. And they speak at into many different topics regarding science. So with that, I would like to thank you guys. With that, I'd like to thank you